This is the Ecwid e-commerce show with your host, Jesse Ness, along with Richard Otey.
Friday, Richard. How are you?
What's going on, Jesse?
We're 4 months into the lockdown situation here. I'm settling into my home office here. I'm now on the opposite side of the wall. Big changes, a lot of stuff going on. How about you?
It's good. It's really good, actually. It's been interesting with the kiddos, kiddo, and with kiddos, as far as just keeping her occupied. But and by the way, I don't use that term lockdown anymore. I use shelter in place or something. I just feel like that word has just got it's polarizing too much right now. Like people, I think that's part of why some people are like, screw it, I'm going out anyway. They feel locked down, right? As opposed to just making a positive choice for something that you should be doing to help the collective whole. But
fair enough.
Not trying to get all political here or anything, I'm not using that term no more.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I'm at home and I am starting to get a little stir crazy, but hey, life is good. We're happy and healthy here. So, and then work wise, hey, we're still communicating with our people out here. We're our listeners like, hey, I know we've slowed down a little bit on the podcast. That's because it has been so crazy busy, but we're still out there. We actually have a couple in the backlog here. So there's a bunch of cool stuff coming out there, some new features. Actually, today is awesome because we get to talk to a listener as well and a merchant, which is always one of our favorite episodes to do. So, very excited about that. And then, hey, we're talking about the COVID situation here. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. We have, there's a bunch of people out of work. There's a bunch of people working from home. What's your word again, Richie? The shelter in place.
Shelter in place, yeah.
Really sheltering in place. Hey, the political winds are blowing here. The Black Lives Matter movement is massive right now. There's just a lot of stuff going on in the world here. We're in the safety of our, little computer screens here. I think it's good to open our eyes every now and then and, kind of see what's going on in the world here. So with that, let's talk to our guest. We have RJ Rise, the founder of the Ultimate 5 Squad. What's going on, RJ?
I'm doing pretty well. Yourself?
Like I say, life is good. A little stir crazy, but hey, try to stay positive on it. So it's good.
Yeah. It's surreal being on this show. I've been listening to you guys for a while now. So for me to be on here, it's an honor.
Perfect. We love to hear that. And, we're going to put a little hashtag on that, send it to all the bosses that pay the bills and, let them know like, hey, we have fans out there and they want to be on the show. So awesome. Now, all right, give us a background to what you do, you're founder of Ultimate 5 Squad. When you're going to start there, or we can start with the origin story prior to where you got started with that. Where would you like to start?
Sure. So I'm RJ Rise, the author of the Ultimate 5 Squad. We have the action book and then the coloring book. The idea came to me back in 2018. There was 2 movies that I watched, Black Panther and Crazy Rich Asians. And what those 2 movies had in common was that it showcased protagonist characters of color or of Asian descent. And what happened, I think Hollywood probably thought they were taking a gamble with showcasing a Black cast or an Asian cast. But in actuality, the numbers were through the roof. It was box office records. So when you showcase people in a prominent light, the way that they'd like to be seen, in a positive light, they're going to go out and support it. And so the Black community, Latinx community, the Asian community, everybody, whites, Black, all went out and supported those movies. And so it showed me something. If you showcase folks in a positive light, no matter who they are, no matter what their disabilities may be, no matter their hair color, skin color, eye color, it doesn't matter. If you showcase them in a positive light, in a respectful way, if you uplift their spirits and their psyche, they're going to go out and support it. And so as a school teacher, I absolutely love working with kids. I love what I do. It brings me so much joy. But I see a lack of confidence in them when they get bullied or where they're not represented. And so I said, let me do something about it. I could sit back and do nothing, or I feel like I'm in a position where I could do something. And so I put this brand together, the Ultimate 5 Squad, and the whole brand, what we stand for is empowerment, is empowering kids, letting them believe that they can be whatever they set their minds to. And so that's how the Ultimate 5 Squad was born.
Awesome. So it's a comic book. So, right, like, so these are superheroes, people of color, Black characters, so that way, kids growing up can have their own hero, right? I think that's a very, very cool concept. And yeah, you saw it with Black Panther, right? My kids, when they have their favorite superhero, their superhero for me is Black Panther. So, they got me a t-shirt, I'm like, great. I'm glad you guys chose that. They didn't really see that I don't look like Black Panther, but hey. And it was great just because now this character exists. So
exactly.
Yeah.
For many Black kids, many Asian kids, many Latinx kids, there aren't that superhero that they can relate to. But sure, we'll go out and support Superman and Batman and Iron Man and the Avengers. We'll go out and support that. But at the end of the day, you don't see that hero that looks like you. And I can't tell you how many reviews, how many feedback I've been getting from parents that say, as soon as my child saw the cover, they say, wow, this looks like me. And instantly there's 5 characters in the book, and instantly they gravitate toward the one that either they want to be like or resembles them the most. And that's something that they don't feel when they go and watch the Avengers or Iron Man or whatever. Nothing against these heroes. They're great guys, but relating to someone is huge. And a lot of times the message is, if the kids see a hero that looks like them, well, what does that say about them? That means that they too can be a hero. And so that's the message that this sends.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like the way you worded that. One of the things we talked a little bit prior, and we talked about different superheroes that are out there, like that are hard to relate to because Superman came from another planet. Bruce Wayne, Iron Man were like super multi-millionaire guys that kind of did whatever they want. But in that mix of past superheroes, Batman was always my favorite because of all the superheroes, he was the one who did it out of choice. And it kind of sounded like on a little bit of our conversation prior that this was a group of friends that came together that by choice decided to do this. Is that kind of the background of what you got working with that book?
Yeah, Rich, well said. Well said. Yeah, so this is 5 ordinary friends, just 5 ordinary friends who come together. So there's no superpowers. They're not born on another planet. There's no mutant. There's no getting bit by a spider. They're just ordinary people who come together and use their skill sets. So one's an astronomer, one's an athlete, one's an inventor, one's a doctor. But together they bring their skill sets and solve this issue that's happening. And the issue is Earth is being invaded by these robot aliens. So, like you said, they're relatable. They're not multi-millionaires. They're just regular folks like you and I who are coming together to solve this problem.
And they're still robot aliens. So,
best of both worlds.
Yeah. I mean, we still have to have robot aliens. We still have, it's still got to be exciting for the kids to want to get into the story. And, it's for kids, right? So, no, that's awesome. I think my boys would be interested. I'm gonna get them into the story. Awesome. So, yeah, I'd love to talk about the story more, but it's an e-commerce podcast, so we got to move on from robot aliens, unfortunately, and kind of give us, where did you come from? Like, were you a comic book writer? Where, how did you kind of get started on this, venture?
Yeah, so I wasn't. I was a teacher, a PE teacher, and so I of course love comics. I love the superhero movies, and so that's something that's dear to me. And so I felt like there was something that I could do the love that I have for these superhero themed movies, but also as a teacher, someone that parents trust to instill goodness in their kids, to be role models for their kids. And so I felt like I have a platform. I have the smarts enough to put this together. So why not at least give it a shot, see if I could help impact some lives. But I'm not a writer by trade, but as a school teacher, a PE teacher, I'm around kids all day.
Yeah.
So you had this idea in 2018. When did you actually start building your Ecwid store, or did you even build the Ecwid store? And like, what got you to choose Ecwid too? I'm curious about that, since you weren't in the
good old Google. I Googled. I knew that there were X amount of companies who host websites, who have plug and plays. And so I did some research, and after doing my homework, I found that Ecwid had a podcast featuring YouTube. And I said, okay, so I'm not a true techie to the point where I could build a website from scratch and coding. And so I said, well, if there's a podcast and I hear them, and every so often they mention which apps to use, they mention new features that are going to be on the website. That's like my inside guys. So I use you guys as my inside guys. So my source. So whatever you say, I give it a shot. If you say, MailChimp is doing this, I'll give it a shot. If you say there's a Facebook integration, I give it a shot. So I truly trust and value whatever you guys say. And so that helped me make that decision, was that I could hear from not only you two, but also your guests. If your guests say, hey, we love this, and these are the apps that we use, then I'm down. The site was probably put up in February. I was tinkering around with it. I paid for the whole year. And I kept listening to you guys, and I kept building it and adding the background and different little features here and there. But I don't think we fully launched until about March, early March.
Okay. Wow. That's awesome. So several things I could go into there, but one, you launched the site in about a month, really, without having a technical background. So that's great. And I know, you could have probably done it faster if you wanted to. You could have done it fancier. You could have done, you could have done a million different things. But the key is that you got it launched, right? So I always love it when people just, there's always a hurdle or two. Just get this thing launched, get it out there, see what's going on. So kudos to you on that. Obviously, thanks for listening to the podcast.
Now the pressure's on, Jesse. They actually listen to it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing. But besides that, you launched kind of right in the beginning of, the COVID situation. And, boy, it's actually a very good time to be launching a product where, I have kids that are working at home, or I'm working from home. My wife's working from home. The kids they need to be occupied, right? That's just bottom line. They need something to do. And people are looking for resources. They're looking for anything to not just, you can always keep your kids occupied with an iPad and, YouTube. That's not the goal. The key is, how can you teach them when you don't really have the ability or the skills? I'm not a teacher. My wife's not a teacher. So it turns out that you launched this at the perfect time, where there are resources here for kids to learn, you mentioned about empowerment. There's some, there's downloadables. It's an awesome time it's awesome that you launched it. Your timing was actually, was just a good time to launch, really. You couldn't have planned for that. So, anyway, I don't know if that was a question. Sometimes I do ramble on the podcast a little bit, but I'm so happy for you that you were able to launch at this time, so.
Yeah, I'll take what you said and go with it. Yeah, it wasn't planned. It wasn't planned at all. A lot of families and folks that are finding me on Facebook or social media, word of mouth, they'll say to me, oh, wow, so because of the Black Lives movement and what's happening in America, you came out with this book. There's no way that I could have came out with a book that quickly, especially 2 books on top of that. This was a year and a half in the making, finding the illustrator, working on every single page, every single detail, from what the characters are wearing to the earrings, to the lipstick, to the shoes, to the trees, to the dogs. I mean, details after detail. So it took a good year and a half. And, but I knew the conviction I had was that this book was needed. I would go to, I don't know if I could say their names, the big box store with a bunch of books. I went to the local bookstore. I didn't see it. I didn't see what I was looking for my nephews, at least for their birthdays. I went on the big website. I searched. I don't want to say their names, but I searched on the website. And I was looking for a cast of protagonist superheroes of color, and I could not find it. And so I said, well, if it's not out there, I could wait. And I could wait. Or I could do something about it. And so that's what I did. And so the timing was unreal. It was just surreal that in this moment, parents, Black and white, are looking for books that are going to boost their kids' confidence in the midst of all of what's going on, but also showcase and bring to the forefront to their kids characters that don't look like them. You know, it's okay to have characters with books with Black characters, Asian characters, Indian characters. And so a lot of white families were scrambling, looking online, trying to find books to educate their kids because they don't want to repeat that cycle. And so I'm just fortunate that my book is among one of the many that parents are seeking out.
Yeah, and I can see it from the, like white parents trying to teach their kids about like, hey, you're seeing some stuff on the news here, and like, how do you distill that into your children with, some of these are some pretty heavy topics too, right? Like, are you going to show the kids the George Floyd video? Probably not at 6 years old, right? But you want to instill this sense in them of what is injustice and what's going on in the world without maybe knowing yourself all that well. So, I mean, I think it happens to be a great time to have resources for that. So, so yeah, like I say, you didn't plan for this, but you had a plan. It's just the timing that it came out was, kind of worked out in your favor, and you happen to be a great resource for people out there that are looking for ways to talk to their kids about what's going on in the world. So, yeah.
I mean, it's some people when they talk about taking advantage, some people think, taking advantage means taking advantage of somebody. Sometimes it's just taking advantage of a situation, but this is a perfect example of it's just sometimes just great timing, and it's not necessarily it can coexist. It's not mutually exclusive. You can be taking advantage of a situation while still empowering people because, to your point and everything we've been talking about, representation matters. And I know with my daughter, I can teach her some things, but for her to read like a comic book or something that feels more fun to her, she's going to see that, and she's going to see these people of color, and it's kind of go into her as without really it being a quote unquote lesson, right? She's osmosis, or I don't know. You're the teacher. You can tell me what the right word is. But she'll be seeing empowerment with these characters, and again, it won't feel like as much like a lesson as much as why not?
Right. America is a cultural pot, right? There's Black doctors, there's white doctors, there's white chefs, there's Black chefs. It's just, you just see it. You don't have to be taught that it's an okay thing. It just is. We're a cultural pot. So yeah, well said.
So you built the site yourself. You got it up a month or so. You mentioned a little bit about what customers are saying. Do you have any other books coming out, or is there what are the plans you have for the Ultimate Five Squad? Yeah.
So 2 parts. So the first part was I did start to mess with the website and make it myself, the background, adding the products. And then I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses, and I hired out my weaknesses. And so I hired a marketing person to help me with the Facebook, the Instagram, and so forth. But as well as doing that, she's very skilled and took over the website. So any new products, any new SKUs, any new things that we need to do with Ecwid, she's all hands on. I do have another product. So parents are already asking me. They're already ahead of the ball. In 2018, I knew the vision, right, was to be the next, but the better, or I hate to say better, but the next more impactful version of a Power Ranger or an Avenger. I wanted to be that brand. It's not just a book, but it's a movement. And so I knew back then that I wanted to have a movie. I just knew that. And so what's just surreal is these parents, they're already asking for it. The kids are asking their parents, is there a movie? Is there another book? Kids, literally, I think it was yesterday, a mom said she was so excited that not only did her 7-year-old read the book, but then the next morning she found him at the laptop trying to figure out if there's another book. I thought that was wild. And
That's
so,
cool.
so the demand is there. The thirst is there. So they want it. And so, I'm working on book number 2. I actually hired a screenwriter, someone that could help me put together the storyline for this. I gave him the idea. I gave him the characters. I told him what I wanted. And he helped me just put a nice sequence of a story together that could lead to a book 2, 3, 4, and so forth. So the goal is to be the chicken noodle soup for this generation. You know, I read that back in my day. It was a good source. It made you feel good. I want these books to be a collection that kids have it in their home library that they could read, and it boosts their self-esteem. And so we're going to be coming out with posters, with T-shirts, with more books, with downloadable PDFs, with more coloring book. And I didn't really go into this, but the coloring book at the very top here says mind growth activities. And so mind growth is a huge hot topic right now. And it's important for kids to have, and it helps kids believe in themselves that they can do things. And so I don't know if any of our listeners out there are friends with the Tyler Perrys of the world or Ava DuVernay's of the world, any producers, but that's the next step. We want to get out there and make some movies, make some TV shows that are going to be empowering to kids everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't particularly know them, but I worked in television film for 13 years, and I know a lot. So I'll be in touch with you. And
All right. Pass me that card.
Well, that's great. I mean, now I'm thinking, so the movie's great. I can't help you with the movie. But what I can help you is with the website and kind of generating that next tier of revenue to start making those dreams a reality. You mentioned the posters and things like that. If you probably have to go back a little bit, but we had Printful on quite a while ago. But they're a print-on-demand shop, particularly busy right now in this kind of current world. But like, you could very easily take some of your characters and turn them into T-shirts, posters. Kids probably don't care about coffee mugs so much, but like any, like the standard like things that you could get from a print shop, they have all that, and it's printed on demand. So, you don't make as much money because you're not printing it in bulk, but you don't have to put the money up for the inventory either. So that might be an option for you. Clearly the next book is the big thing, and that's, you're going to be building an email list, I suppose, from current customers. So that way, when the next book comes out, you could probably put little teasers on there. I think you mentioned MailChimp. So for people listening, hey, I'm not sure when this comes out. We may or may not have a MailChimp podcast before that, but we're fully integrated with MailChimp. It's a very, very solid integration. So, RJ, please start building that email list, because that's going to be, your goal when that next book comes out. Like, you send out that email, you're going to just immediately get sales. It'll be like, it'll be like the most profitable email you send in your life, more than likely,
Oh yeah, that's the beauty of having the digital downloads too, because as long as you're collecting those emails, even if they don't buy from you now, if you keep letting them know what you're up to and what you're doing, they could be a client in the future, customer in the future.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so keep working the MailChimp. Anyway, clearly gather emails. Love the free downloadables. There was a couple things you'd mentioned. So you're already doing Facebook and Instagram. If you've listened to the podcast long enough, are you doing the shoppable posts, where you can, like have a box around the product where it shows people can purchase right from your Instagram and Facebook feed. Do you know if
I'm doing that. Yeah, I listened to that, and literally as soon as I heard that, I went ahead and implemented that.
Okay, great.
So yeah. I've gotten a few purchases from the Facebook side, but for some reason it hasn't allowed me to do it on the Instagram side. But yes, on the Facebook side, it's there. It's on the Facebook page of Ultimate 5 Squad. And if you scroll down, you'll see the products. You can tap on it. You can buy it. Oddly enough, though, I don't know why, but on the Instagram side, it's not giving me that opportunity.
Fair enough. Instagram's a little tricky, and it's not like you can call somebody on Instagram and have them fix it. So right. it might I don't know. I'm not Instagram, but I think it might be with the digital downloads. Sometimes they don't want people abusing their platform for digital downloads. So if you had merch, for instance, if you had where it's clearly a book and not a digital download, that I think that's what's tripping it up. I can't say for sure, but just a hint there, that might be a place to look at. Talk to our support too. They can probably walk you through it. But digital downloads are awesome, but they're not awesome when you're trying to get approved for Instagram shopping. I have a hunch. So,
right. Yeah. Because on the site, not only do we sell the 2 physical books, but we have a freebie. So anyone that visits the site that's not too familiar with us, they're taking a chance with us. We offer downloadables, and they're just empowerment. We call it like an empowerment worksheets pack. And so they get to download almost 40 worksheets for free, just so they get familiar with the brand. And then after they get familiar with us, if they want to take a chance and buy the book, then they could do that. But yeah, you might be right on that one.
Yeah.
Well, like you mentioned, Jess, this is one that's worth talking, especially since you prepaid for the year. You definitely have chat and all that. You can talk to support, because it could be that. And do you remember actually uploading your product feed and trying to get approved with Instagram, or was there just something not working? Because you might not have just done that. So
if it's done with Facebook, it should be, the infrastructure's in place for Instagram. So I know it's there. It's just, I get it. Sometimes it's a little wonky, and you got to kind of just push through on that one. So, hey, I wish we had Instagram on the line right now, but they're not, Another idea, I wanted to kind of throw this out to you. Actually, you mentioned, you might not be aware of this, but the concept of free plus shipping. Have you kind of heard this concept? So you have a product that's priced in sort of the zone where that can work, right? Where, it's, now it sometimes sounds a little like, a little, I don't know, shady, because you're using the word free plus shipping, but I know this works, and it works particularly well for books because it's fairly inexpensive to mail books, right? And coloring books. But you can, offer up, this might be later when you have a few more products, by the way, and maybe you have more products and then you have a $5 product and you say hey, it's a free plus shipping offer. So the product's free, but you have to pay us for shipping. Ultimately, the product is just $5, right? It's a, like I say, I'm a marketing guy, so I can understand it, but just go with me on this and try not to, hey, you're helping the world here, so we're going to use a tactic here. But the tactic is you call it free plus shipping, and ultimately it's just a low price product that you can ship fairly well, fairly cheaply. And it's just a free plus shipping is way easier for people to grasp than $5, even if they're both $5. And it gets people in your funnel. It gets people, you've now made their first sale. They have your products in their hands. You have their email. There's a lot of good that can come from it. And you can Google free plus shipping offers and you'll find way more information than I can provide you here. But your store just looks like it's a very good candidate for that tactic and strategy. So, RichE, you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I would say I'm going to take a look and I'll reach out to you a little bit more as I dive in a little deeper. But I think this is a great one. I noticed you have a couple bundles on there, but especially with what's going on right now, I think if you made it a little bit more prominent or maybe had a drop down for more quantity, because with some just verbiage of, hey, buy some for your friends too. Like this is just the timing of all this, instead of only relying upon somebody saying, oh, I got to copy and paste this and create an email. They might just buy 5 more copies. They might buy 10 copies and share it with people. That's just, I just think with the space we're in right now in America, that would be worth trying to figure something out. I'll think about it a little bit more on the specifics on how you'd probably do that to not take away from just, getting one. But I think definitely adding some form of drop down or verbiage that says, buy some for friends and family, and then does something go towards helping a cause or something with this too, or like a little?
Yeah. So I think it was either early this week or sometime last week. We had a customer, and then we're using this app. I can't think of the name at the moment, but you can have your customers leave a little note for you as they purchase. And so in the notes section, it said, we love what you guys stand for. Thank you for having these superheroes. And also thank you for the causes you support. So inside the book, literally as you open it, page 1, we let our audience know, our customers know, that when they purchase a book, part of what they're paying, part of that money goes towards a cause. And so every quarter we try to choose a new cause. This past summer, and we're still rolling into it, it's No Kid Hungry. So they're an organization that, because school was shut down, was closed so abruptly, a lot of kids depend on these meals. They depend on schools for their breakfast and lunch. And so now you have millions of kids that went without their breakfast or lunch. And so No Kid Hungry's been doing this obviously before the coronavirus, but even now more so, it's more important. And so they feed these families, these kids. And so we want to help out. So when someone buys the book, you're actually feeding a child. So there's a good that comes with it. You're not just impacting your child, and you're not just impacting your community, but you're helping other kids around the country. And so there's a social good. It's kind of like that Warby Parker and the Toms model, where you buy one and you're giving something away. So when you buy this, you're helping feed some kids here in America.
I would say that a little bit more on the website, just let people know ahead of time, not just after they buy the book. I wouldn't be afraid. That's a beautiful thing. Okay. Not that you're afraid, but you know what I'm saying? Like, just make it prominent.
Perfect. I will. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also, like, you always need new social content as well. So like when you make the donation quarterly, like, hey guys, thank you to all the customers that have purchased from us, blah, blah, blah. Like, but here is our donation, as we had mentioned, to this organization. And by the way, next quarter, we're going to choose this organization, just to kind of give people a reason that you're not just selling a book at a big box store here. Like there's more behind this book, the message and the donation as well. So, just a tip. Like, I know sometimes coming up with social content is tough, but you have this built-in thing,
Wow, so. That was genius. Yeah. Great points.
Yeah. I would even, to stick with Jesse's user-generated content, I would even, I can't remember the one, like stuffed animal one, but they had this, and then they just created this little movement with a hashtag something. I'll look into it and get back to you. But they were taking pictures all over the world with this. So, maybe just kind of coaxing them into, taking pictures of their kids when they're empowered, doing something different, or holding the book up, or a combination of both, or especially back to Jesse's thing of, possibly integrating Printful in the beginning. They'll take some of the margin from you because it's print on demand, but you don't have to stock the t-shirts. You would just provide the images, which you already have. So, that might be a way to kind of get you started that direction, especially if you're going to get into the movies. Swag's the whole game. So, like that might be something that could be very useful too for the user generated content, and then your whole community helping get the word out for you.
And I will tell you, I'm scrolling on the Facebook thing on the other screen over here, and you have a lot of social content. So I don't, but this is just something different, to kind of to mix it up a little bit. Like I know you gotta think of something every couple of days, and you always need new content. So that might be an idea. And yeah, like I actually really think the merch could work for you because, the brand is great. The problem is your average cart size is probably a little small, right? Like people are $15, $30, like it's great, but it's sort of hard to support advertising. It's just the reality is like, it's hard to advertise for something that's going to be a $30 sale, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, just a couple ideas there. Let's keep moving on the ideas here. I had a couple more, so I'm going to bear with me here. Oh,
yeah, please. And all the ideas you have, I'll take them.
All right. Well, the other one, this is also a preview of a future podcast here. Actually, we did talk a little bit about the free Google listings. So just kind of, RJ, I'm not sure if you're aware or other people listening, Google's making a really big push. They're going after Amazon here, where in the Google search area, like there's the shopping section that, has been sort of ignored over time. But they're making a really big push that most of the products shown in there are now from free listings. So there's a paid component, but it used to be 100% paid. The only way to get in Google Shopping before was you had to pay for Google Shopping ads, and they would place you there. Now they've opened it up. It's called Google Free Listings. There's a couple options for you there. You can the hard version and the free version is you can go inside of Ecwid. There's a Google product feed, which isn't that hard to do by itself, but you have to go to Google and you go to a place called the Google Merchant Center and you upload and you connect. And you can do it if you can stick to it, but you will definitely have an error. There will be some sort of error, and you're going to have to figure it out. So I just want to I like to warn people that it's not magic. If you do want the magic area, check out our partner Clickin. They're the ones that run the Google Shopping, the Google Smart Shopping ads. It's in beta right now. By the time this podcast goes live, it's $10 a month, but they manage the whole process of getting you approved and all the little errors and all the little. Google's going to want a lot of things from you. It's not just they want a lot of information. They help guide that, and then it's $10 a month to keep this feed active. And they're doing this as it's going to be $20 in the future. So once kind of we're out of the situation that we're in. But anyway, it's more of an easy button, but it is $10. So definitely recommend that because I was just on a call with them a little bit, so I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to share. Sorry, Google. But right now there's great visibility in this section because not all stores have done this yet. So when things are new, they're really good for 6 months or a year, and then everybody gets in and figures it out, and then it's okay. This is one of those times where there's a lot of free clicks in this section. So just FYI, I would strongly recommend getting that. The product names are more important here though, and the product descriptions, because people aren't necessarily searching for the ultimate 5. They might be searching for, how to, comic books with people of color as the main characters. I don't know the search terms, but it's going to be not a brand name. It's going to be more broad. So
yes.
So just kind of keep that in mind.
I'm going to get on that ASAP.
Yeah. I think there's a little, now is the time. In a year or two, everybody will have done this already, and there won't be as much, kind of free traffic on that. So,
it's a great point, Jess. In two different ways, when you get in early in a lot of these new functionalities that Facebook or Google or any of these people do, it's kind of a double win. You get the win in that you're one of the first people to do it, and so there's not as many other people that you're competing with it, but also you're getting the win because, not that I claim to know all the algorithms by any means, but it's very obvious by anyone who just pays attention when a new feature rolls out. If you're participating in the new feature, they want as much data as they can get on it. So they're pushing it even more. So again, I don't know the particulars. Not like you're going to, maybe be an internet millionaire overnight or anything. I'm not trying to claim anything for you, but it's two reasons to kind of move early in some of these type situations like this.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and there will be, I will guarantee, there was a podcast on it where we gave kind of directions on the hard version. We are going to, the easy versions, it's in beta right now, and it's coming very, very, very soon. So, anyway, I just happen to have a little, I get to peek behind the curtain, so I know what's coming. So we got that. We have, you'd mentioned, well, you didn't say him by name, but you hinted at Amazon, and Amazon, Etsy. So you might be candidate for Etsy because you are a creator, right? So this is potentially something that you might consider Etsy or other marketplaces for. So I don't know if you've looked into those. Have you checked out any marketplaces?
Yeah, both. They're on both, actually. They're both
okay.
on Etsy.
All right.
The book itself is not on Etsy, but the worksheets are. So
okay.
I have them on both platforms. Yeah.
Okay. You're already ahead of my tips here, so that's a good sign. Yeah, and okay, so you're on Amazon, and yeah, the problem with Amazon is you can't get the email necessarily. So hopefully there's something in the book that if they sign up for whatever your free offers are, that you want to get that email from
Exactly.
because you don't make as much money from Amazon, even though the sales are easy, but they take their chunk. So yeah. So yeah, maybe I don't know if there's any other marketplaces that I can think of for maybe you got Teachers Helping Teachers. I don't know if you've checked them out. I might be messing up the name, but anyway, just some other resources for you. So yeah. RichE, any tips, other tips you were saying? These were the kind of the things we had noticed prior to the call.
Not really any tips in per se, because I can already tell I'm going to stay in contact with you, RJ, and I want to help you in quite a few ways here. But more, I just am super excited to have met you for multiple reasons. We talked earlier, representation matters, right? And so you get to check a bunch of boxes for us. One, we want to do all we can to help merchants, and you're a merchant, represented as a merchant. We got BLM going on right now, and you're coming on as a Black man who's trying to empower not just Black children, which is very important, but it sounds as if all children, and you're really looking out for everybody, but particularly putting a spotlight on that. So that's fantastic. And just in general, back to Jesse's point when we're talking about kids at home right now, like empowerment is such an encompassing topic. We keep thinking, well, how are we going to teach our kids? Sometimes just empowering our kids to go and try things on their own and learn things on their own could be more important than actually what they're learning. Because over time, that's going to be like exponential, right? If they're empowered and go out and try to do things, and going with the Ultimate 5 Squad, that these are just a group of ordinary kids that got together and by choice decided to do this. So I just look forward to see how we can help you in any way possible. And like I said, I'll be keeping in touch with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome all around. I can't do better than what RichE just said. So I'm going to leave him with that. Yeah. That's good stuff. So, I think for people listening though, if you're interested in the Ultimate 5 Squad, so it's ultimate5squad.com. There's also on the site.
Yeah. So it's ultimate, the word 5, FIVE.com. So ultimateFIVE.com. I'm sorry, ultimate 5, FIVE squad.com. And then on Instagram and on Facebook, it's the number 5, ultimate, the number 5 or squad.
Got it. Yeah, you have to do that. I totally understand because, people type in the wrong thing. They're going to the wrong place. So
we'll put that in the show notes too. You
sure.
get a slight little dip in your audio there. So I want to make sure that.
And there's some free downloadables there too. So if you're thinking, okay, this is great, you want to check it out, there are those worksheets there for free. Check it out. Now, you're going to be on RJ's email list, just FYI, because we were talking MailChimp. But I think it's a small price to pay. So
yeah, we don't bombard people with gimmicky stuff. It's things that you're going to want your kids to have. So it's empowerment worksheets. It's good things. So I think your kids are going to fall in love with the characters, with the story, from what the feedback is so far. And so if down the line we say, hey, we got T-shirts, I think your kids might, love to wear that because it'll empower them. It'll make them feel like a superhero. So yeah, I wouldn't want to do something to someone I wouldn't want them to do to me. So I hate getting bombarded by these brands. So we don't do that.
Yeah, I hear you. Got to be very careful with your emails, but I'm sure you'll do it in a very in the right way. So I'm not worried about it. But well, RJ, it's been great talking with you. RichE, any last thoughts here before we go?
No, I know we got another podcast coming up here recording shortly, so I got to quickly get my downloadable worksheets and get on his list and then also get the book.
Awesome. Yeah, and you guys have kids, so I would love for them to have a copy.
Awesome.
We'll be getting it.
Yeah. Hang on in the end, and we'll chat afterwards.
Hey, this is Jesse and Rich. We want to let you know we really appreciate you listening.
We hope you find the tips we give you helpful for growing your business.
You can find all of our past episodes and a lot more useful stuff at ecwid.com/podcast.
And also, check us out on your favorite podcasting platform like Apple Podcast or Stitcher. And make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing.
Be sure to let us know what you think by rating and reviewing so we can serve you better.
So subscribe on your favorite platform.
And come join our community, check out the transcripts, or tell us why you would be a great guest at ecwid.com/podcast.